Well, the Portuguese was in charge of 144 games in 2.5 seasons, winning 84 games and scoring 243 goals. Mourinho won the FA Community Shield, the EFL Cup and the UEFA Champions League in his first season at Old Trafford. Now, Jose Mourinho will be paid £22.5 million as payoffs. Of course, he complained of the club's transfer policies and some senior players, and he spoke of their abilities in his last training. Now, joining us in the studio this morning is Emmanuel Akindubowa, a sports journalist with WFM. Emmanuel, good morning.
Good morning.
Now, the timing of this sacking, it has come to some as a shock. To some, they could not just stop smiling. Now, is this the right time? It's December, but they are not talking of a permanent manager. They are talking of an interim manager. What do you think?
Well, the reality is that at some point the board was going to act. The results were not coming their way. The threat of losing out on the Champions League was becoming real, especially with the loss to Liverpool at the weekend. And Jose Mourinho was not helping matters. His reaction to the game, especially keeping some of his big players out of big matches, spoke that he wasn't really looking at helping the club get out of the quagmire. Timing, I mean, the club are left with no choice at this point in time. The more it goes on, the threat of United losing out from the Champions League becomes real.
Now, Emmanuel, is it not double standards? On one hand, Unai Emery is hailed for, you know, having the ability to put players like Aubameyang, Ozil, Ramsey on the bench. And when Jose Mourinho does it, because the players are actually not playing well, he's immensely criticized and made to look like he wasn't good. Don't forget, this man's statistics is not bad. So I feel, for me, it's more like a media hunt than the fact that Jose Mourinho was actually bad at Manchester United.
There's nobody questioning the right of the manager to bench his big players if they are not living up to standard. But Jose Mourinho added the personality dimension to the issues he had with his players. I mean, there were issues where he had a training ground bust up with Paul Pogba, making some unsavory comments about Anthony Martial. I mean, the way he fell out with most of his players was, I mean, ridiculous. And it was becoming like there was a crisis in the dressing room. No board would sit back and watch a crisis in the dressing room. Jose Mourinho, no doubt, his record speaks for himself, winning 3 trophies in his first season at Manchester United. But from there on, I think things went on a spiral. And it wasn't helping matters. The fact is this. The board gave him all the support they could give him.
Did they?
They did.
That's
I mean, spending over £400 million in just 3 or 4 transfer windows, signing 2 of the biggest players in the Premier League, Paul Pogba as well as Romelu Lukaku, speaks of the intention of the board. The board gave him all the support. It was left with the manager to make do with what he had.
Now, during the transfer, Mourinho kept hampering on his defense. And this season, if not for David De Gea in the goal post, the defense of Manchester United have been a disaster. They've almost always conceded goals, and they looked very fragile every time the opposition was attacking. Should this issue not be placed on the shoulders of someone like Ed Woodward, who a lot of people feel is not as proactive, especially some Manchester United fans feel he's not as proactive as he should be? Remember, come on, Jose Mourinho met some players that are not very flattering.
Chichidebere, one thing we should also understand is the dynamics of the transfer market at this point in time. When a club like Manchester United comes calling, most clubs want to play big. They want to inflate the prices, make it difficult for a club like Manchester United to get their star men. And there's a threshold the club can actually go for some players, as a matter of fact. But let's look at the fact that Mourinho had an Eric Bailly, had Lindelof, had some couple of players who, in all fairness, are not really that bad. Maybe not top notch like the likes of Van Dijk and all that, but not really that bad. How did he make up with the old team? I think Mourinho's problem started from his relationship with his players. Immediately after Alexis Sanchez was signed in the winter of 2018, I think the dressing room went into a collapse. The players were not happy that a player who was just trying to prove his mark at Arsenal was paid that much. The way Mourinho managed the ego in the camp and all that was really, really, and the club had to act. If you look at the statement issued yesterday, it was clear. I mean, if you read between the lines, they've done all they could do to mend the fence between the manager. They never wanted him to go, but it was becoming like a stalemate, and they just had to let him go.
Possible replacements for Jose Mourinho. Pochettino, I don't see him leaving.
Pochettino is a long call. But we know Daniel Levy, the chairman of Tottenham Hotspur, will not let him go on the cheap, especially with the project. They have a new stadium.
40 million, I hear 40
million. They have a new stadium, and they would want at least something to bring the fans to fill up that stadium. That's a 60,000 capacity. That's a dimension, a business dimension to it. Zinedine Zidane looks like the odds-on favorite, but for now we hear Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who is the coach at Molde, looks like a great replacement. He understands the mentality of the club. He's won so many things. He has some level of relationship with the players, and they believe he could stabilize the ship a bit for them. For Manchester United, that's the biggest brand. Like many analysts have said, the club is bigger than the ego of one man. Respect to Mourinho, he's done so well for himself. He's one of the most successful managers the world has ever seen. But at some point in time, you need to, understand the fact that you need these boys to get the job done for you. He failed in that aspect. Maybe better luck next time. Now,
some football pundits believe appointing an interim manager is going to set United 2 years back from what they've been trying to achieve, which is return to the pinnacle of football, not just financially.
Not really. We saw some clubs appoint interim manager who proved to be a big success. From Gus Hiddink in Chelsea in 2008 to, of course, Zinedine Zidane, who was intended to be a stopgap at Real Madrid, proving to be a mega success. So it's not really a bad idea to go for an interim manager and see what can happen in the short period of time. For now, Manchester United, the immediate ambition is to get back to the Champions League. Missing out of the Champions League would be a big letdown. They still have the Champions League to contend against PSG. I think that's a reality that struck the team, the board, that look, if we're playing a PSG and we're considered an underdogs, despite being the biggest club in the world, it's a big slap on us.
Well, thank you very much, Emmanuel, for your thoughts this morning on Manchester United.